So it was kind of going back to, the Steve Wilkes thing. I pulled a clip because there's something that I'm excited to see from Nick Sorensen bring back that philosophically we did not see much with Steve Wilkes.
Yeah.
And so the question has always become, can the 49ers defense be better this year than it was last year? And is letting Steve Wilkes go really that much of a move? So we're going to jump to some film here. This is a pressure package and coverage that we saw maybe twice last season, maybe 3 times. And it was something that was a staple among Saleh and D'Amico Ryans. So first thing you'll notice is we got this mugged look up here. It's a really dirty, muddy look up front. You got all these guys up close to the line of scrimmage. You have your linebackers are mugging the A-gaps, so that means they're standing over the A-gaps, bringing immediate threat. I'll talk about that a little bit from the end zone when we get there. But here's what we do coverage-wise that we did not see philosophically from Steve Wilkes. So this is going to look like man coverage, but it's actually a zone afterwards. It's what we call zone with man match principles. So it's going to be an man match. What does that mean? Man match is an idea where if, say, this guy was out here and they're in a bunch formation and you're playing man coverage, that you're not necessarily going to be, I got this cat and I got this cat. What you're going to do is say, this guy's got the first guy inside, this guy's got the first guy outside. So if they switch, they don't get to pick you and create rub routes. So that's man match, is that you don't have a specific guy, you have first in and first out sort of a thing. So playing zone with man match principles is the idea that you're playing the final number of a receiver. So on the outside here, Ambry Thomas has the final number 1. So he knows this by formation, that this guy will be the final number 1 because the running back's in the backfield, he's attached. So he is not detached out here. And so Ambry Thomas, we know man coverage right there. Okay. On the outside, this is Rock Ya-Sin. He's got in what's called mod coverage, which is man outside and deep. So unless this guy comes in really quick and there's an outbreaker, he's going to be manned. So that's why he's up and bump. Is he's going to say, if this guy breaks in, I'm going to disrupt him so he can't run any sort of interference or anything, and he doesn't have a free release. So most likely this is going to be outside in any sort of way. So he's most likely man here. That's why he's up and bump. So then you have, I believe this is Renardo Green in here. Renardo Green has the final number 2. So you have a tight end and a slot. They're in here. That's why he's playing outside leverage way out here, because he doesn't have to worry about giving up as much to the inside, because if this guy comes in, you have an outbreaker, he's going to take the outbreaker. So he's got the final number 2. And then you have Curtis Robinson is going to back out here, and he's going to match the final number 3. And once they match, they're in man coverage. So these guys underneath are playing zone with man match principles. So what that also means is that if this tight end stays in a block, Curtis Robinson isn't just saying, okay, I'm going to sit over this guy. He then is going to drop and be a hook zone. And you have a deep hook or deep middle safety here. So this is the kind of thing that we didn't see from Steve Wilkes, because Steve Wilkes didn't like putting his linebacker potentially on a slot receiver. That's what you didn't see very much of. But we're going to see that here. We play it. Now look, right at the snap. Curtis Robinson, he's backing out. What's he looking for? Who's the final number 3? That's what he's reading. You got man has locked up here. Man has locked up here. And what is Renardo Green doing? They're reading who's the final number 2, who's the final number 3. And there they've split out. So that's where Renardo Green transitions. Man coverage. Curtis Robinson, he takes him. He doesn't have to worry about anything deep because he's got a safety over the top, right? So he's just looking for anything crossing over the field to pick it up. Now, here's where I don't like Ambry Thomas. He's already committed to an outside route. I don't understand this. And they drive on him, and it's a completion on 3rd and 9. Like, I don't know. That kind of stuff frustrates me. So that's coverage-wise, I like that. It gives you a lot of answers. We got a lot of good rushes in 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019, playing these kinds of coverages, because this would be Fred Warner. And Fred can go attack and pick up number 3 receivers, even if it's a slot guy. From the end zone, why do I like this? Well, because what you're doing when you mug these linebackers up, you're presenting threats. So the line has to account for that. So how are they going to account for this? Well, tackle has got to come out on the defensive end. Guard's got to come out on the defensive tackle. Center has to come towards Curtis Robinson. So you're forcing a line slide. And usually this coverage is based upon where's the running back. So if the running back is over here, then Curtis Robinson rushes and D. Winters drops. But because the running back is on that side, you're going to have Curtis Robinson drop. Let me put this in red. Why? Well, because that means that the first person who can pick up that immediate threat, because he's right over the line, has got to be the center. So you're forcing a line slide away from where you want to bring pressure. You're forcing a line slide to Curtis Robinson's side, and he's going to drop into coverage. So this center will end up having wasted protection. That's why you do that. Again, you drop the linebacker away from the running back. So you force the center on a line slide. So that means then the guard has to account for D. Winters. The tackle has to account for the defensive tackle. The running back now has to account for Robert Beal off the edge. This is how you can manufacture one-on-ones. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring Malik Mustafa on a rush off the edge. So you're able to bring what is 5 guys in the end. You're going to bring 5 guys, and you're going to, 6 guys, and you're able to pick up everybody. So, because the question then, the last thing on this is how do you account for the running back? Well, this is something I talked about on my members website with a wide 9, is if this running back flares out and he doesn't come in to protect, then because that's now a hot, and you say, well, if we're bringing Malik Mustafa off the edge, we're bringing Robert Beal off the edge, how do we then cover the running back? Well, you're going to have Robert Beal in what's called a peel rush. So he's going to read that running back, and if that running back goes out into the flat hot, he's going to peel out and cover him. So that allows you to be certain you are going to get an unblocked guy off the edge. If the running back stays in the block, you have an unblocked guy off the edge. If the running back goes out into the pass pattern, you have an unblocked guy off the edge, and you're also covering everybody. Now, here's the problem. We do have a problem in execution on this play from Robert Beal. So here we're going to watch it play out. You're going to see the stress that this puts on the Titans. So, boom. Here, where's the center looking? He's got to look. There it is. That's that slide. He's got to look towards Curtis Robinson. Just like I said, tackle here, tackle here. So now the running back, what they're doing is they've said we're going to have the running back pick up the inside rush, and we're going to block outside. So this is where Robert Beal, his recognition, he's expecting the running back to be out here, not the tackle. So he was coming up to attack the running back and let Mustafa come around. This is where he's got to change this up a little bit. He's got to go attack this tackle, and don't let this guy get wide, and recognize the running back is not coming out in the flat. He's working his way vertical. Let me clean this up. He's working his way vertical because he's got to pick up this running back if he flares out. Well, that throws off this rush. You want Mustafa with his speed to get an absolute as straight of a line as possible that he can towards the quarterback. Well, Beal goes wide. That pulls the tackle wide. Mustafa has to run around the tackle, and you can see it. He's got a dip, loses his footing. You want him coming in and lighten up that quarterback. If he stays on his feet, that's probably a sack, okay?
Yeah, man.
So that is stuff that we didn't see from Steve Wilkes last year. You can see the problems it creates for the defense. But philosophically, why did Steve Wilkes not do that? It's something, again, reading the tea leaves and kind of analyzing who Steve Wilkes was through all of the game film last year, was Steve Wilkes wanted his most favorable matchups in coverage. And so while that look gives you an incredibly advantageous rush, that look does not give you a great one-on-one matchup sort of situation on the back end. But that is something that was part of the 49ers DNA. It's Fred Warner. Yes, he may be covering Cooper Kupp, and that happened over the years as that final number 3. And that is not a good matchup. Fred Warner on Cooper Kupp. That's not a good matchup. You don't like him in space on that. I love Fred Warner. He's not covering Cooper Kupp in man coverage all game long. But he doesn't have to cover him that long. He has to cover him for 2 seconds.
Right.
Yeah. Just on in-breakers. Because we didn't see this very much. But because you schemed up the pass rush. Steve Wilkes was like, well, look, we got all this talent up front. We got Javon Hargrave. We got Eric Armstead. We got Nick Bosa.
They should just get there.
We should just be getting there. Because on the back end, that gives me so much to do with favorable coverage matchups. But so often we didn't see pass rush married to coverage. You didn't see the timings of those two things working out. That is what I'm excited to see. We saw this run twice in preseason. This play, this coverage and pressure package, twice in the first preseason game. I saw it like 2 or 3 times all season last year.
Wow.
So I'm really excited to see this come back.